SN.
Welcome to Leadership Deprogrammed. We have all been programmed. We have been programmed by the things we've read. We've been programmed by the people who love us, by the people who taught us, and definitely from our experiences. So you're wondering, have you been programmed? Well, I would say, when I say the word leadership or leader, what images come to mind? Do you see yourself? And that's the reason why we have this program. We are inviting you to deprogram your concept of leadership and your image of a leader. We want that when we say leader, that you can say, yes, I see myself as a leader. So I am Maxine Atong. I am a Gestalt trained PCC level executive coach. I am an organizational development and leadership specialist. I partner with leaders to help them to create the type of leadership that they think they want to be. So this is Leadership Deprogrammed, and today I wanted to share 5 tips for returning to work. We know, at least I'm really excited about July 19th, right? That's the date that promises us to have a different type of life from what we've been experiencing for the last 3 months. Yes, so we can exercise outdoors, we can congregate in small groups of 5 outdoors. We are going to see a return of restaurants being open with curbside delivery and for pickup. And what's most important is that there will be a sector of the population that is going to return to employment. Maybe not full employment, but definitely it means that most of us will be able to earn money. And of course, with the expectation that retail will follow soon after. So in this program, I'm going to share with you 5 tips. And what are those 5 tips? I'm going to share about work from home and some of the lessons that we want to keep from that. Speak about compassion, speak about trust, speak a little bit about discrimination, because that will be probably in play for some of us, and I'll explain how that may happen. A little bit about flexibility, and I'll probably throw in a bonus if we have time. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to start discussing those 5 tips to help us return to employment.
The Division of Aging, Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, under the auspices of Senator the Honorable Donna Cox, is pleased to announce its free 4-day webinar series in observance of World Elder Abuse Day 2021. The series will be held on the 15th, 22nd, 23rd, and 30th of July 2021 virtually. These sessions are free, so come and join the conversation. To be a part of this exciting and informative series, register now by visiting the ministry's website at social.gov.tt. The Ministry of Social Development and Family Services. Helping, empowering, transforming lives.
Gift giving during a lockdown can still be hassle-free with a gift from FanZone with delivery options available nationwide. Visit and browse our Facebook and Instagram pages for all your official licensed merchandise and apparel and have it delivered to your door. Find us on Facebook and Instagram. FanZone, we've got you covered.
It may seem like the hardest thing to do right now, but we all need each other to wear a mask, wash our hands, watch our physical distance, and stay at home. We need you safe. Together we can make the difference. Together we can curb the spread of COVID-19. So let's be responsible in our actions. The Trinidad and Tobago Red Cross Society. Mission-based, people-focused, community-driven.
Welcome back to Leadership Deprogrammed. And in this program, we know that on July 19th, a huge signal has been sent that we will be opening up different places. There is an expectation that most of us will return to our places of employment and we will no longer be working from home. So today I thought that I would share beyond the obvious about some things that leaders need to look out for when we have our staff returned to the office place. I will state the obvious. The obvious is that my expectation is that we will continue to follow the safety protocols of wearing masks, social distancing, checking for temperatures, as well as ensuring that if you're in a enclosed area that you're wearing masks. So I'm not going to talk about that. We've seen during the lockdown that some offices, in terms of the kitchen area, those have been areas where the disease has been spread. So the expectation is that we will keep the safety protocols alive and well when people return to work. Today, I want to cover 5 items. I want to talk about work from home, looking at a hybrid model. I want to talk about trust. I want to talk about checking in, compassion, and discrimination. So let's start with the first, working from home. During the pandemic, and we're still in a pandemic, but since 2020, we have been working from home in different ways. Those of us whose jobs do not require us to be client-facing, we have been working from home, and we've all reaped the benefits. I'm going to share with you this short video to remind you of the benefits we have had while working from home.
To focus. Let's face it, with the modern day advent of open office spaces, they are a haven for distraction and interruption. And the ability to work from home in your own contained, quiet environment is hugely beneficial to your ability to focus and really be more productive. Benefit number 2, you avoid the stresses of a commute. It's very stressful battling traffic during rush hour, and by avoiding that completely, not only are you getting extra work time, but you're lessening your stress levels getting to work and coming home from work, and you're much better off because of that. Benefit number 3, you can actually work from anywhere. If you have the freedom to work from home, that doesn't actually mean you have to work from home. You have the choice to, or you can work elsewhere. A coffee shop, maybe you can go on vacation and work remotely that way. You can take your work with you wherever you go and have that location independence. Benefit number 4 to working from home is just the overall health you will experience and enjoy from having the work-life balance of not being locked into a very rigid and strict office schedule. So not only are you not stressing yourself out from the commute, but the distractions, as I said before, and the stress that causes, you're going to be happier because you don't actually subject yourself to that stressful commute. You can avoid the flu season going into work. You're going to have more family time. You can enjoy more gym time just by having that freedom and flexibility around your schedule that working from home affords you. Benefit number 5 to working from home is that it's environmentally friendly. With this environmental consciousness that has emerged due to the carbon footprint, you can do your part by not spending gas and burning fuel. You're actually saving the environment by not contributing to the carbon footprint. And that leads me into the 6th and final benefit of this video, and that is the money you will save from being able to work from home. You're not going to spend money on gas, you're not going to spend money on parking, you're not going to spend money on necessarily eating out. You can prepare your food at home, and you don't need as many clothes to wear because you don't need the professional attire that might be required for the company or the office space in a conventional job.
I think the argument has been well proven. A lot of us have benefited from working from home. So leaders, how about you retain those benefits for your employees? If people do not have to come into the office, how about working through a hybrid model where they come into office some days and they work from home on some days? And this brings us to, of course, the question of trust. I know it was easier when everywhere was locked down to trust that employees would stay at home and work from home. So now that places are opening up, I know some people are saying, well, how do I know that they will work at home when they're supposed to be home? How do I know that they're not downtown shopping or they're not on a beach liming? So let me ask you something. Are you driven by output or are you driven by presence? What are you really hiring people for? Is it to achieve goals and objectives or to sit at a desk? And that's really interesting because when I look at performance measurements, when I look at those tools, a lot of times there is something about absenteeism because we don't want people to be absent. And a lot of times, most times, there is actually a criteria around the achievement of goals and objectives. There is nothing in the performance assessments that I have seen that speaks about sitting at your desk. And I know for a lot of clients who I've worked with, productivity has gone up. People have suffered from burnout. They have work-life balances in a mess because they have moved their offices into their homes. While it is that they also report the benefits of having more family time and more flexibility. So how about we trust people to do what they need to do and really lead our organizations from a perspective of getting the job done, not that I have to sit at my desk and get a job done. So trust. What makes us not trust people? What is it that we're saying about these people who we have hand-selected through a recruitment process that we don't trust them to work from home? Well, trust has some risks in it, and I'm going to let this video explain that.
Consider the elements or behaviors that contribute to the concept of trust. Intent to do well by others, but intent by itself is not enough. Character, being honest, sincere, and behaving with integrity. Transparency, arguably this is related to character. You are open in your communication with others and are not operating with hidden agendas. Competence or capabilities, your ability to do things. Reliability and consistency, keeping your promises, meeting your obligations. Notice that in this view, all must be combined and overlap. Let's take a different approach, as suggested by social psychologist Morton Deutsch. Realize that trust involves some level of risk, and that risk has consequences, which can pay off in harmful or beneficial ways. And if we were to diagram this, there is an expectation that there is more to be lost from the harmful consequences than will be gained from the beneficial consequences. You recognize that those consequences, beneficial or harmful, are dependent on the actions of the other person. You will trust when you are confident that the other person will behave so that beneficial consequences result.
And trust is the foundation of many teams. When trust is absent from a team cannot have healthy conflict. When trust is absent from a team, people do not feel seen or heard, and they will not give of themselves. You know, a lot of organizations, they complain about lack of accountability. People are not accountable. They don't take responsibility. And I want to reframe that for you. People do not stand up. They do not take accountability. They do not commit to actions because they do not trust. You want to show what trust looks like? Well, then you need to accept that trust is an ebb and flow. If you don't trust people to work from home and achieve their objectives, then people will not show up as trustworthy. And I want you to consider that for 2020, employees worked at home and no one had a problem. So why now, when things are open up, will you have a problem with trusting said employees? I'll leave you with that to think about when we take a break.
The Division of Aging, Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, under the auspices of Senator the Honorable Donna Cox, is pleased to announce its free 4-day webinar series in observance of World Elder Abuse Day 2021. The series will be held on the 15th, 22nd, 23rd, and 30th of July 2021 virtually. These sessions are free, so come and join the conversation. To be a part of this exciting and informative series, register now by visiting the ministry's website at social.gov.tt. The Ministry of Social Development and Family Services. Helping, empowering, transforming lives.
But you are the driving force of this program. We will be able to take your concerns to the various agencies to have them resolved for you.
You cannot get through on that NIB line, you're telling you. If they have the line, but you're calling and you're holding on and you're holding on.
We have spoken to them up to this morning up there at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex about your matter. It is engaging their attention. They're saying a thorough investigation has been done. Although they have spoken to WASA despite their many reports to the authority, WASA, you're not doing anything further.
We have a beautiful water supply.
Oh, it's good now.
Yeah, through you, Sharon, you helped us.
I'm very glad that has worked out, and thank
I'm
you for
so
letting
grateful
us
and thankful
You
because
are
of how
most
many years that we
welcome.
complaining.
It's Madam Fix It with Sharon Farfan. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 11:30 to 12 noon, right here on WESN.
All right, welcome to it, guys. Yes, we are ready to start this show. Cup of Joe is fun. Cup of Joe is food.
Joel, I just here for the food.
Yeah.
But before you sample, right?
Yeah. Cup of Joe is friends. Cup of Joe is on every Wednesday at 5 on WESN Content Capital.
I am Erla Christopher, Deputy Commissioner of Police Operations. In the TTPS, we have a number of our officers who have tested positive, and as a consequence, we have many who are in quarantine. As I speak, 2 of our officers have died from the COVID-19 virus. Clearly, we are not spared. As the premier frontline agency in the fight against the onslaught of the virus, we are charged with the task of ensuring adherence to the required protocols. We are vulnerable. We have to be alert. We have to be vigilant. The onus is on us to do all we can to safeguard ourselves and by extension our family and loved ones. I implore you to wash your hands, wear your mask, watch your distance, limit the power of the virus, embrace the invitation to be vaccinated. Save yourself, save lives. Please do your part. Vaccinate. Thank you, and may God continue to bless and preserve us in the TTPS.
Welcome back to Leadership Deprogrammed, and today I am just sharing some tips about returning to office. Before the break, I spoke about work from home and how that is indelibly linked to our trust factors. We trusted people during the pandemic to work from home and give us the results. So how about we continue that, even though we know that they could go to the beach, right, but we're results oriented. So now I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that I know everywhere is opening on July 19th. Most of us will return to office, and a reminder that the pandemic is not over. It is not as if we're going to wake up on July 19th and be less anxious. There will still be anxiety in our system. People are going to be still asking themselves, what if? You know, people are still going to be worried about their stability of their job. People are still going to be worried about, will this business continue? So those fears are not going to go away. So just as we did during the height of the pandemic, we stopped and we checked in with ourselves and we checked in with each other. You know, we have Zoom fatigue, and that's okay because, you know, right now we're still using Zoom. And I still want to encourage people to start meetings with a check-in. Check-in, you know, how are you doing today? What's going on? It is July, August, and there is vacation, so children are still at home. So parents still have to worry about where to put their little ones. People still have anxiety around their children. We know that unfortunately a 15-year-old died within the last 2 weeks of COVID. So that anxiety, that worry is still there. Continue to have those conversations in your organizations about anxiety, about preventing burnout, about stress. It's not over. So let's do that. And that brings me to the next point I want to talk about, the point about compassion. We need to have compassion for each other and be each other's keeper. We need to keep an eye out. And I know for a lot of people, compassion is a little difficult one. It's one of those little nebulous things. And so how do I show compassion? Well, compassion is really about stepping into somebody else's shoes figuratively and really thinking from their perspective, from where they are at and what they're dealing with, how are they feeling. I'm going to share with you this little clip from a Buddhist monk about compassion.
So even when you drink a cup of tea, if you don't really look at the larger picture of how many contributing, individuals have gone into making that moment possible, then, when you ignore that fact, then you begin to develop a very individualistic, hardened island kind of a mind of your own. That's what makes, compassion and the practice of compassion difficult. It's because we think we are an individual, unattached, and not sort of in any way related or connected to the others. But when the connectedness and the interdependency of ourselves with everyone else, the larger picture of that codependency is understood, then I think you come to a point in your mind where you can then say, you're the one receiving so much. The least you could do is say thank you. And how best would you repay that? And that makes compassion sort of the least thing that you could do.
Yes, so we have so much to be grateful for. We are alive. Those of us who have escaped COVID, who have not gotten it, we can be compassionate for those people who actually did contract the disease because we are interconnected. We know that restaurant workers have been out of jobs for a while, people in the service and retail industry. For those of us who are lucky enough to have a job, we can extend compassion to them. There but for the love of God goes I. So therefore, if I think about myself and how I may have been similarly affected, it makes it really easy for me to have compassion with them. And of course, the motto now is vaccinate to operate. I have been in this situation where I was invited to a line by some friends, not a great number of us, it wasn't a zest, relax, okay? But invited to that, and my first question was, are the other people vaccinated? I realized afterwards that I was discriminating. I was really saying, I don't want to be with anybody who didn't vaccinate. I want to be with people who have vaccinated. And I'm just thinking about what that will be like when people return to your office. How are you going to treat with people who have not been vaccinated? Are you going to set it up differently? I'm suggesting that you don't, because that will be discrimination. So really something that, very unconsciously we might be doing in terms of separating ourselves from people who have not been vaccinated, or separating ourselves from people who have not had the opportunity to get vaccinated yet. So really something we want to make sure we build into our organizations, because we don't want that kind of behavior. Because once we set it up that it's okay to discriminate, then what will be next? We'll find something else to discriminate about. So I want to put that out there just to be careful that we don't build any kind of discrimination into our organizations. Even though we're concerned about people getting vaccinated, vaccinate to operate, we still have a duty of care as employers to treat everybody equally. The Equality Commission will not give you a break because you're discriminating based on vaccination. And so I have one more thing to share with you, is that a reminder that the pandemic is not over. Therefore, what does that mean? We'll take the example from Barbados. Barbados reported 40 positive COVID cases over the weekend, and today Barbados is going back into a 2-week lockdown. So the word for us is flexibility. We're opening on July 19th. It doesn't mean that we'll be open forever. Get your office, get your workplace prepared for a shutdown. What does that mean? Your business continuity plan, and by now everybody should have one. We know that we have to keep it dusted. We have to update it based on our experiences from last year, so that if anything happens, we can immediately and seamlessly go back into those conditions of working from home, taking equipment from the office, and all the things we struggled with initially last May. It also means then that your work from home policies, please update it. We've had the experience, we know what to do, we know what not to do, we know how to roster people for work. So make sure those policies and procedures are updated and everybody has a copy of it. And just get yourself ready. There is no guarantee. We are still in a pandemic and we still have to lead people. So that's what I wanted to share today. Just some thoughts for you. How about a hybrid model? Let's encourage work from home where we can. Let's really make sure that we have compassion for the people who are working with us and the people who are returning to work, because that's filled with iffiness. Let's make sure we trust our people so we can encourage them to work from home. Let's build a trust in our teams and definitely have extended flexibility. We know that we're not always going to be able to work from home. COVID, as we see all around the world, has spikes in it. So we are getting ready for that as well. So while it is that we're going out, we're like Girl Guides, right? We are prepared. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. And we know that on Friday there is a repeat. So Lunch and Learn, 12:30 p.m. on Fridays. If you want me to cover a particular topic, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram at Maxinatong. And of course, you can also send your comments to the studio, wesncc.com. Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
WESN